Kyotaro is an emo loser who watched too many gore animes and now wants to reference Yunogasai on his classmates, especially in the most popular girl of his class, but she ends up falling in love with him and consenting to be stabbed by his edgy sausage. Please like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications for more content. For all this, Kyotaro gives us a POV of what the quiet kid in class thinks about as he thinks of increasing the population of anime heaven with his classmates. Following this, he spots Yamada, who he's itching to transform into a ghost, and dreams about seeing her cold, lifeless body every night, which sends strong signals to his trouser monster. To get away from all the noise, he heads to the library only to find Yamada eating like she's a death row prisoner having her last meal, and this freaks Kyotaro out. As he walks in, she says something to him, but he just awkwardly agrees even when he did not get what she said, and then hides behind a bookshelf to spy on Anna while she happily consumes enough snacks that'll feed a nation. As he thinks up a scheme to send her to the lobby, he notices that she's working on a social studies project, and that she forgot her box cutter to cut up her cardboard paper. So he thinks about lending his cutter to her, but wonders if she'll think he is freakier than Hisoka since he's randomly carrying around London welcome kits. When he sees her ripping the paper in half like Gojo, Kyotaro jumps in to help and offers her his cutter. To his surprise, Yamada thanks him, and he retreats behind the bookshelf, feeling relieved that she didn't find him creepy. Soon after, the school's bell goes off and Yamada leaves with her box cutter in her pencil case. He immediately chases after her to get it back, and just then, she runs into one of her friends who scolds her for eating more than a sumo wrestler. Following this, she rushes to meet him and offers him the bag of chips in her hand. But before he can grab it, she pulls a level 100 disrespect move by quickly finishing the chips before handing the bag to him so he can throw them out. Then she leaves him there, feeling frustrated that he couldn't make any progress to end her. The following day, as Kyotaro arrives at school, he realizes that he still hasn't received his box cutter back and heads to class, only to see it just lying on his desk. Noticing how it feels warm, he becomes Sherlock Holmes, wondering if Yamada had it in her hand the whole way here so she won't forget, but he's also shocked that she knew what desk he sits in. At the same time, their social studies teacher announces that it's time for everyone to present their group projects, and Yamada notices that her project looks completely different, and Moko tells her that she redid the whole thing since it looked like what a toddler did, pointing out the chocolate stain she used in place of a marker. This angers Kyotaro because he knows Yamada put in a lot of effort into the project, but he soon sees that she seems chill about it. As Yamada's classmate presents their project, Kyotaro notices that Yamada looked like she was about to crash out, and hearing Moko happily present the project pisses him off. Following this, Kyotaro's group then presents their project, and while doing this he spots Yamada being a human water hose in the distance, making him wonder if the project meant more to her than he realized. Suddenly, someone hears helicopters flying past the class window, and everyone looks in Yamada's direction. To stop them from seeing her in tears, he uses his box cutter to tear up his project, and this shocks the class while group partners scold him. Later on, Kyotaro heads to the library for some alone time, and runs into Yamada again. This time, however, Hara arrives shortly to meet Yamada, and she talks about going on a diet to lose her status as a planet, while Yamada says she's doing the same, which triggers Kyotaro as she's munching down junk foods. While they chat, Kenta soon joins them, and Kyotaro wonders if he'll ask Hara out. While they talk, Kenta passionately explains that he likes girls who are thicker than Tsunade, and this makes Kyotaro cringe, wanting him to stop talking. Just then, he mistakenly draws attention to himself, so Yamada signals that he should act like a cat, which he does a terrible job at. This forces Yamada to meet him in the back to show him how to make cat noises, and the others fall for Yamada's scheme, thinking the supposed cats are about to fight. Shortly after, Hara, alongside Kenta, leaves the library, and Yamada comes out of hiding with Kyotaro, telling him that she's glad it worked out before leaving. The following day, as Kyotaro heads to school, he spots Yamada with Haruya, making him wonder if he's her boyfriend, and this makes him upset. He overhears them talking, and although she didn't seem interested at first, they hit it off as they continue talking. Shortly after, Haruya tells Yamada to add him to her contacts, but she doesn't seem comfortable with the idea, and he suddenly grabs her by her arm, making her scared. Even after seeing this, Kyotaro doesn't want to admit that he cares about Yamada's situation, as believes he's a messed up person, but unexpectedly resorts to using his bike as a wrecking ball to break up their connection as it lands in the water. Just then, Moeko tells her about the situation, and Yamada asks Kyotaro why he did it. He cracks a quick joke, and Yamada laughs louder than a hyena. Yeah, telling Kyotaro that he's a funny person. The following day, as Kyotaro takes on the work of a spy camera, he reflects on how the library is his domain expansion, and how he doesn't want anyone to enter it. At the same time, he notices Yamada preparing to make a snack, and she runs out to get some water. After a while, he notices that she's struggling to fetch water to craft her meal, as she keeps spilling the water on the floor while rushing back. As he realizes she's messing up the floor, so Kyotaro cleans it up, and Yamada soon meets him, claiming that she planned to clean it later. She then notices they only have 3 minutes of recess time left, and hurries to get the water. And he notices that her IQ is a single digit as she keeps doing the same thing. To help out, he becomes Prime Usain Bolt, rushing to the home economics room to get her a glass. However, he returns to find Yamada already eating her treat at the tap, making his help more useless than Sakura. To save face, he decides to drink from the glass, and Yamada mocks him for it. Suddenly she hands him her trash and says he can keep it, making him wonder if he likes being treated as trash since he's a bit excited about it. Later in class, while Kyotaro ponders his plan to eliminate Yamada, she struggles to fan herself from the heat, and this triggers Moko, who decides to assist her. While Yamada and the others fan each other, Kyotaro wonders why Yamada likes eating alone when she has so many friends, and he wonders if Yamada is planning to change him into a corpse in the library. Meanwhile, Yamada asks someone for their shirt as she's drenched in sweat, and Kyotaro overhears Sho saying that the sweat has given them X-ray vision to see through their shirts. This gives him an idea to take a sneak peek at Yamada, but before he can get to her, Kyotaro drops his box cutter on the ground to catch Sho's attention while the girls exit the classroom in search of a free air conditioner. Feeling relieved that his plan worked, he heads out of class and notices Yamada's closest friend, whom he likes to refer to as her boyfriend, notes how Kobayashi doesn't ever complain when Yamada bugs her. Later in the library, he meets Yamada there, and while he's being delusional about how she's caught on to his plan, she asks Kyotaro to pass his fan over. After sniffing it, she says it's one of those fans that smells amazing and tells Kyotaro to take a whiff. As he comes close to her to smell the fan, he notices that Yamada's wearing her swimming attire underneath her school attire. Just then, Yamada receives a phone call from Moko and suddenly becomes scared, hiding under the table. She then asks Kyotaro to quickly sit down, which confuses him, and immediately he takes his seat. Kobayashi angrily enters the room, asking Kyotaro where Yamada is. Knowing that she's mad at Yamada, he says he doesn't know where she is while trying to hide the snake in his pants, and she figures that Yamada is hiding under the table, so she decides to join Kyotaro at the table, which makes him feel bothered. When Kyotaro offers her a snack, she turns him down as she's allergic to junk food, and explains that Yamada usually has snacks alone to avoid triggering her allergies. She also states how jealous she is of Yamada's personality and looks, baiting Yamada by praising her for being a model. This makes Yamada reveal herself and confirms Kobayashi's claims that she likes hearing people praise her. Soon after, Yamada leaves with Kobayashi on her back, while Kyotaro runs to the restroom to tame his dragon. Months later, after summer break, the students prepare for the upcoming cultural festival, and Kyotaro's class is left in charge of working on the haunted house. While Kyotaro thinks of a way to bail on doing any work, Yamada suddenly approaches him, asking if he can help with the decorations, since he did a good job at designing his presentation. After he hesitantly agrees, Kyotaro assists Hara by advising her on how to make the design scarier, but gets distracted by her massive twin cannons. Suddenly, Yamada jumps out of nowhere and scares Kyotaro while Kobayashi tells her she's not scary enough. As Hara finishes up, she says that she's jealous of Yamada's banging figure and leaves to empty the bucket. Just then, Yamada notices a gravestone drawing with her family's last name written on it, which upsets her, and Kyotaro wonders if Hara wrote it because she has a vendetta against Yamada. Without wasting any time, Sho grabs Kyotaro and asks if he wrote it. To avoid a conflict between both girls, Kyotaro admits he did it, and Sho threatens to beat Kyotaro up to impress Yamada, but fortunately Hara arrives in time to tell the class she wrote it, then apologizes before erasing the names. While Kyotaro helps Hara erase them, Yamada huddles near him and apologizes while Kobayashi tells her to come over and practice her haunted house routine. To make the design appear realistic, Kyotaro writes his family's name on the gravestone and heads to one of the stalls to wash his hands. While there, he wonders what Yamada meant by her apology, and suddenly, Yamada startles him as she pops out of thin air, asking if she'd be scarier if she was bloody. She starts messing with the paint, so Kyotaro shows her how to make the paint look more like actual blood, and Kyotaro almost sneezes with the head in his pants when she leans closer to him, causing him to leave in a hurry. Some days later, the culture festival begins, and just as Kyotaro plans to hide away from all activities, he spots Haruya, who invites Yamada and her friends to walk around the festival with him, which makes Kyotaro panic. Though Kyotaro has beef with Haruya, he recognizes that Haruya isn't all bad since he helped retrieve his bike from the river. While tailing them, Kyotaro runs into Yamada, and she suggests they check out one of the exhibits that highlights their town. They head into the room and find a map on the ground. Just then, Yamada locates her house on the map and Kyotaro learns he lives close to her, which makes him flustered. Following this, he asks if he can take a picture and Yamada takes his phone so they can shoot a selfie. This makes him feel weird since he wanted to take a photograph of the map, but he takes the win as this may be the virgin's last chance to take a picture with a hottie. The following day at school, Kyotaro visits the school nurse because he had a headache during the school's marathon race and spots a pair of sneakers with Yamada written on them, which makes him freak out. However, he assumes it belongs to another Yamada in the senior class, but he's shocked to see her lying in the next bed. While he stares at her, fantasizing about the different yoga poses he can try with her, she notices him. However, she claims that it's okay if he stares at her since he's not a stranger. While they talk, he learns Yamada visited the office because she's having stomach problems. He explains that he's having a headache, so the human candy jar pulls out a ton of candy from her pocket and hands him a pill for his pain. He then finds a cup to take the pills and notices that Yamada had used it earlier, which makes him nervous. However, he braces himself as if it is his only option and struggles to take the medicine, but forcefully swallows the pill when Yamada startles him. As Yamada leaves for class, Kyotaro notices that she left her gym clothes behind and fights his demons, telling him to get freaky with it. Just then, the nurse returns, getting annoyed that Yamada left candy all over the place and throws Yamada's clothes on Kyotaro, telling him to return those to her. He then accepts the gift from the heavens and tests if he has a kink for smells. After this, Kyotaro attempts to return Yamada's clothes and sees her rushing back to the nurse's office to secure her candy. Later on, Kyotaro returns to class to continue working on his novel, and overhears Sho suggesting that they play a game, asking the girls if they have late-night solo DJ sessions, which triggers Kyotaro. Immediately he approaches the girls and they give him a cold look, so he changes tactics, asking to see how short their nails are, and assumes that they all nurture their beans since they're all short. Shortly after, Sho hands Kyotaro a letter to give to Yamada, which he assumes contains a dirty message, and since he doesn't want to get into trouble with the girls, he hands Yamada his drawing of his female protagonist instead. Kyotaro then leaves the room to look at Sho's letter, where he discovers he just wanted Yamada's line address. Following this, he returns to class and hears Sho conjure a new dirty plan for the girls, suggesting that they stretch out their fists and however the girls position their hands around it. Shows how freaky she is in the sheets. They proceed with the scheme, but the girls catch on to it and avoid interacting with his fist directly. However, they still develop assumptions about their favorite yoga positions. After this, Kyotaro returns to the library and questions Sho's adult personality test. Just then, Yamada enters the room and notices someone has eaten her chips, so grabs Kyotaro's hand and realizes he didn't eat them. On the other hand, Kyotaro is shocked by Yamada's gesture since, according to the test, it means that she likes to dominate during late-night battles, which makes his natural carrot active. Later on at basketball practice, Kyotaro realizes he's straying from his original goal of neutralizing Yamada, and can't seem to understand the strange feelings he has for her, as his actions don't match his intentions. While he's lost in thought, he spots Yamada looking at him from afar, and this leads to her getting hurt by a basketball. Even though she gets back on her feet, the coach sends Yamada to the nurse, and Kyotaro's simp instincts kick in as he follows behind them. As he sneaks into the office, Kobayashi decides to get her things from the gym, so Kyotaro hides under the bed and overhears her conversation, while Yamada calls her mother in tears since the photo shoot she has the next day is ruined. Just then, Yamada drops her wallet, and Kyotaro notices Yamada has kept his drawing in it. This triggers Kyotaro to recount all his meetups with Yamada and makes him realize he wants to do the dirty dance with her. After this, Kyotaro returns to class and overhears Sho telling his friends he has samples of Yamada's bloody tissues. This makes him mad, but before he can react, he notices he has blood marks on his shirt and this makes him pipe down. The following day, Yamada shows up with a bandage on her nose and everyone she meets asks what happened to it, turning her into a broken record as she keeps repeating that she got hit with a basketball. To solve this, Kobayashi writes the reason for her accident on her bandage, and Yamada tells her friends she was worried that her nose would be crooked forever. Also, she feels her manager and parents would have been disappointed in her, which makes her feel sad. Following this, Kyotaro runs into Yamada crying at the school's stairwell, and notices that she ran out of tissues. So, Kyotaro returns to the library and leaves enough tissues to mummify a town on the tables for Yamada. Then he hides behind the bookshelf and watches Yamada use the tissues while eating chips, feeling happy that she's back to her usual self. Some days later, Kyotaro questions what it means to like someone as he makes his way to school, and he tries to deny the fact that he has a crush on Yamada, saying that it's more of a not hate her kind of like. He then concludes that love is just a mental illness that leads to bad decisions, and decides to be the king of the singles. Later during lunch, he notices Rin staring at Yamada, and sees that Yamada is stashing away a milk carton, so he assumes she wants to feed some lost puppies. However, he finds that she intends to make a new meal with it, which gets on his nerves, since she could just get a simple snack that doesn't need alchemy to prepare. When she attempts to pour the snack into the milk carton, he jumps out of hiding to stop and tells Yamada to get a bowl from the home economics lab. She then treats him like a dog, telling him to fetch it for her, and the simp moves faster than Mac 10 to do so, but Yamada explains that she was kidding. While they head out to get a bowl, Haru tells Yamada he's noticed that she loves eating snacks she has to make, and she replies that she's on a cooking kick, which makes him realize that she's unfamiliar with intelligence since she thinks mixing snacks is cooking. The two find that the home economics room is locked, so he suggests they use the science lab instead, and after they sneak into the lab, he starts preparing the snack like he's building an atomic bomb. After this, he hands her a sample to taste and she uses his hand as a spoon to taste it, which makes him blush. As she gulps the snack, a teacher stumbles upon them and this startles her, causing her to spill the goo all over herself, which gives the teacher a wrong idea of what's happening. As punishment, they are put on cleaning duty, and while serving their time, Rin walks up to Yamada to talk to her, but this makes her drop her rag out the window. She then heads outside with Kobayashi to retrieve it, while Sakina tells her to stop putting off apologizing to Yamada for hitting her with the ball, and this causes Rin to crash out. Later in the library, Kyotaro spots Rin looking at Yamada while she's eating, and figures that she's trying to find the right time to apologize. So he decides to give them some space, but Yamada suddenly stops him to show him some filters she finds funny, and asks him to take photos with her, but Kyotaro refuses. As he doesn't want to get in Rin's way, he rushes out of the library and Sakina grabs him so they can spy on the two. Just then, Yamada asks Rin to take a photo with her, and she accepts without a second thought. Afterward, Yamada comments that she would make funnier faces if her nose wasn't injured, and this makes Rin feel guilty, so she apologizes for throwing the basketball at her. However, Yamada doesn't even know she did it, which shocks Kyotaro, and after assuring her she's not angry, Yamada offers to give her candy as a sign of peace, dropping some candy wrappers on the ground, and Sakina suddenly shows up to help her pick them up. After this, Yamada heads back to class and Sakina tells Rin that she was worried for nothing and apologizes for pushing her so much. After school, while Kyotaro heads home, he bumps into Yamada, who notices Kyotaro has got a new bike and asks Kyotaro to take her to a snack shop. While mounting his bike like she wants to have 7 minutes of heaven with it, to bribe him, she gives him the cap of her snack, and the two head on their way. She then asks what school club he belongs to, and he replies that he's in the data processing club, while she says she's in the basketball club. However, she tells him that she's thinking about quitting the club, since she hasn't played in a while and has been forbidden from playing, suggesting that she join the data processing club. Seeing his dead response, she says that he should sound excited, but she doesn't know he's almost getting a heart attack since it's the Virgin's first time being so close to a baddie. Shortly after, Kyotaro notices a police station and starts overreacting, thinking her career would be over if they got caught double riding on his bike. Picturing his family and friends being disappointed in him, before he can tell her to get down, she pulls some Sherlock Holmes level deductions and clocks that he is a beta male who fears more than chickens, which provokes him to carry on with the ride. Eventually, Kyotaro takes her to her destination, and she rewards him with a treat, which shocks him as it's not trash this time around. As a joke, he hands her his trash this time and she giggles at this, waving him goodbye. The next day, Kyotaro's teacher informs the class that someone reported that students had been bringing food to the library, reminding them that students cannot bring food there, and their teacher believes Yamada is the one responsible for doing the deed, which she denies. Not believing her, he tells her to meet him in the teacher's office after class. However, she gets off the hook since he is too busy after class. The next day, while Kyotaro's resting at a burger spot, worried that Yamada may not visit the library anymore since she can't eat there, his older sister joins him at the table and complains about being stuck with babysitting him, even though she was the one that dragged him out. While he prays that no one from school sees him there with her, Yamada and her friends suddenly walk in and sit at the table opposite Kyotaro and his sister, making him freak out. He channels his inner bat to eavesdrop on their conversation about getting hit on by boys, and Kyotaro's sister teases him for a bit, resulting in him leaving to buy himself a drink. While he thinks about how unlucky he has been, Yamada rushes to speak with him in the line, asking if the chick is his sister, and Kyotaro shares his grievances about his sister. However, Yamada says she wishes she had an older sister, and she soon realizes she doesn't have her wallet on her. This makes Kyotaro ask her why she got in line, and she tries giving the excuse that she really wanted to go to the restroom. So Kyotaro tells her they're all upstairs, which catches her off guard, so she rushes there. While Kyotaro orders, he realizes she may have wanted to just talk with him, so he gets snacks she said she'd like to give her, and bumps into Yamada, who teases him for getting a dessert that she wanted to get. The following day at school, Yamada bumps into Kyotaro at the teacher's office while he is checking for her there, and she asks him to accompany her to see the teacher, since she's scared to go alone, which he agrees to. When they walk in, the teacher is surprised to see him with her, and he explains that he's just there to observe. Just then, the teacher starts tearing into Yamada for having snacks in the library, and Kyotaro uses only 2 brain cells to help Yamada get out of trouble. When he tries walking away quickly, the teacher stops him and he thinks they're done for, but the teacher claims he's impressed by how talkative he is. While they head back to class, Yamada presents Kyotaro with 2 candy options, and after he chooses one, she says he's such a kid, and tells him to refer to her by her first name, which makes the butterflies in his tummy go haywire. Some days later, Kyotaro becomes restless in class since it's time for them to participate in a workplace visit, and their teacher tells them to form a group of 6 students with similar interests. While he thinks of a group to join, Sho lets Kyotaro join his group and suddenly agrees with Kanzaki to disband the group, since Hara and Yamada's groups need 2 people each, which triggers Kyotaro. They proceed to approach Sakina and ask her for approval, but she sees through his scheme, then holds a draft to choose between the 4 of them, which makes Kyotaro nervous as he really wants to be in the same group as Yamada. After discussing things, they choose Kanzaki, and Yamada picks up on Kanzaki's disappointment, so she immediately persuades the girls to let him decide if he'd like to join their groups. Kyotaro then notices that he's struggling to say what he wants, so he comes up with the logic that he should join Hara's group since they all have similar grades. While they split the group based on grades, Kyotaro almost ends up separated from Yamada, so he lies about being as smart as Light Yagami, so he can join the half-a-brain cell group, and Sho also ends up joining Sakin's group. However, Yamada knows that Kyotaro was lying to join their group, and he is shocked that she figured it out. Later at the library, while Kyotaro hides to stalk Yamada like a Nat Geo wild cameraman in the rainforest, he spots Hara waiting there, and Yamada soon walks in to join her. Immediately she takes her seat. Yamada invites Hara to have some snacks, but she says she just wants to discuss with Yamada, and the 2 of them talk about Kanzaki and Hara's relationship status. Hearing this, Kyotaro's baffled that Kanzaki's making progress despite Kanzaki being a cultured mind like Sho, and meanwhile, Hera says she wanted some advice from Yamada since she thinks she has a boyfriend. In response, Yamada says she doesn't have a boyfriend, which stops Kyotaro's head from exploding from anxiety. And she takes minor offense to Hara's follow-up responses, saying that she doesn't need to be a player to coach someone. Yamada then gives her some advice on things they can do as a couple, while Kyotaro enjoys his time as a human CCTV camera, seeing such a cute scene. And Hara ends up taking a selfie together that exposes Kyotaro's position. Following this, Hara and Yamada confront Kyotaro, but Hara's okay with Kyotaro eavesdropping, since no one would know her secret since he doesn't even have imaginary friends, and this stings him a bit. After school, Kyotaro realizes it's raining, which he figures is a perfect excuse for a guy to walk home with his crush under the same umbrella, and sees that people are actually walking home together with umbrellas as he predicted. Just then, Yamada meets him and notices he's wearing a raincoat, so she asks him if she can borrow it to visit a store to buy an umbrella for herself, since she says she forgot to hold her umbrella to school. So Kyotaro gives Yamada his raincoat, and she leaves for the store, but he notices Yamada left her bag with her charge card inside, so he catches up with her and tells her she left her charge card inside it. And she extends her arms over Kyotaro to protect him from the rain, asking him to take it out of her bag. While searching through the bag, he discovers an umbrella inside her bag, but Yamada says it's broken and he finds her wallet, so she tells him to put it in her pockets, which he struggles to do while fighting his trouser carrot from getting blood. After Yamada leaves, he tests out the umbrella only to find that it is working fine, and he gets the impression that she has the hots for him. But Yamada returns with a new umbrella and bag of snacks, which makes him think she just wanted a snack instead. Just then, she asks him if he likes or hates mint chocolate, and he says he doesn't care, which surprises her, and she asks him to guess if she loves it. As he delays answering the question, she says she just wants to test his reaction time, and hands him a chocolate bar. When he looks into her eyes, he realizes that he has fallen so hard for her that oil could be found at the bottom of the hole the fall had created. The next day, Yamada, Kyotaro, and their group arrive at Akita Publishing Company, and Sakina flaunts her manga knowledge in front of the others. While Kyotaro is worried things won't turn out well for their group, they introduce themselves to the front desk, and then follow someone into an office full of workers. While they look around, Sho tries to find something to discuss with Yamada, and seems to be failing, but after she spots a fellow model's art piece in the office, this gives Sho a chance to talk with her about a common topic they both know. However, Sho couldn't repress his cultured genes, remarking female natural flotation devices, and this ruined his chances. After this, the group splits as one group follows a guide woman elsewhere, leaving Kobayashi, Kyotaro, and Yamada behind. Someone then comes out to show Shoi's group some original artwork, and Kyotaro desperately wants to see it but doesn't want to leave Yamada behind. Just then, Yamada notices this, so she grabs his hand and takes him to Adachi's group, clearing a path for him to see the artwork. Seeing this makes him really happy, and he voices out his excitement, which leaves all of them in shock. After they're done, they head into an elevator on their way out, and a man rushes inside pushing the crew, which causes Yamada to get into a position that could lead to them bumping hardware, so Kyotaro decides to close his eyes to resist any temptation. When he opens his eyes at the end of the ride, he notices that she's staring into his soul, so he calls out to her, and this snaps her back to reality. While heading to the train station, Yamada asks Kyotaro if he reads a lot of manga, and he name drops a few, but Yamada says she reads more of rom-coms, recommending one for him. However, Kobayashi remarks that lacks the brains to understand novels like that as a joke, and Kyotaro decides to head to the restroom while Yamada waits for him. After this, Kyotaro realizes Yamada and himself have been separated from the group and missed their train, which makes them panic. Kyotaro feels excited to be stuck alone with Yamada, but tries to hide his excitement and suggests that they take a seat at the station until the next train arrives, but then he becomes shocked to see Yamada become a human waterfall. To calm Yamada down, Kyotaro buys her some milk tea, and tells her that he's to blame for spending so much time in the bathroom, which got them split up from the group. While talking, she had a funny thought about him, and her mood became better. After getting on the train, Yamada holds him close so they don't get separated again, and the two discuss their relationship. Yamada feels excited as she thinks Hara would soon be Kanzaki's girlfriend, and says that the best relationships are secretive ones, asking Kyotaro if he agrees, which makes him nervous. Later on, the two reunite with the others, and before Yamada can apologize for getting lost, Kobayashi says she's sorry for leaving Yamada behind, since she's the group leader. The following morning, Kyotaro kept blabbing about what happened on the trip to his family, and his sister pointed out that he told the story the previous night already, but he explains that he told just his mom and wanted to tell her too. Just then, he jumps up to head to school, and Kyotaro's sister says that he's been having more fun at school lately before he leaves. While on his way to school, he realizes his sister's words were true, noting that it may be because he likes Yamada, but he refuses to let it get to his head, since he has trust issues. Shortly after, he bumps into Yamada at the school gate, and she gives him a few manga volumes. After they chat for a while, she tells Kyotaro she'll be leaving early from school that day. That's why she wants to give it to him, and the dummy is blind too, as he doesn't realize she was waiting for him, telling her to get back to the gate so she doesn't miss who she was waiting for. Later at the library, Kyotaro assumes that Yamada tends to leave early or stay home from school for work reasons while reading his favorite murder book, and Yamada unexpectedly arrives, Noting that she had never seen him sit so often when she was around, seeing the book in his hand, she asks if they could read it together and gets into a struggle, leading to Yamada testing if her air balloons could wrap his face. Feeling embarrassed, Taro asks Yamada if she'll be in school tomorrow, as he's now anticipating seeing her every day. And although he feels it's a weird question, she happily says she'll surely be attending school before leaving. Later at the house, Kyotaro then realizes he's enjoying school while reading the manga she gave him, and his intrusive thoughts win as he tries figuring out what position she reads it in. The next day at school, Yamada rushes to meet Kyotaro and so spots them talking casually about manga. Afterward, he meets with Kyotaro and asks him about his close connection with her, making Kyotaro think he wants to pick on him. However, he just wants to know if Yamada has a boyfriend, since he assumes Kyotaro is close enough to her to have such info, and warns him not to let anyone know he asked about it. In response, Kyotaro tells Sho he doesn't know, and Sho admits that he likes Yamada. When Kyotaro asks why he'd like her, he lets his cultured spirit take over, saying that he can only oil his wand to Yamada, adding that she has more buns than the bakery and that he would love to be choked by her thick thighs, which makes Kyotaro feel uncomfortable. After hearing this, Kyotaro heads back to class, questioning if his feelings for Yamada are real or if he just wants to do the hip dance with her, and then takes his seat while she's on his table. Just then, he spots her thighs, making him blush, and he feels gross when Sho gives him a nod of approval. Later on, he finds Yamada startled in the library because someone posted a warning not to eat there, giving them the idea that someone must have ratted her out, so he starts narrowing down people who know Yamada eats in the library. But Yamada says it's best to ask the librarian about the sign. When they ask her, she shows Yamada and Kyotaro a honey drop wrapper she found in the library, and says that it's best to have a sign in there since most people tend not to follow the rules unless they see it written for them. Following this, Kyotaro returns to the library with Yamada, who looks very sad about the recent development, and Kyotaro is worried that Yamada won't stop by anymore now that she's lost a reason to be there. Suddenly, Yamada pulls out chocolates and says she'll continue to eat here despite the sign, but Kyotaro says it's not safe to do so. Just then, he spots the librarian and grabs Yamada's hand to avoid the librarian finding out about Yamada's chocolates. Afterward, Kyotaro realizes the chocolate melted in Yamada's hands and tells him to go away while she licks it off her hand. Before leaving, Kyotaro tells Yamada it might be best for her to lay off the snacks, and he feels it's best if things end this way, even though he feels devastated. The following, Kyotaro returns to the library and he is surprised to see Yamada, who says she's working on homework. However, he spots chocolate underneath her notebook. In her defense, Yamada promises she's laid off on a third of her snacks, which makes Kyotaro realize she would never change. Then asks Yamada who'd think about throwing food away in the library, and she brings up the moment when she gave Kyotaro a bag of chips when they first met in the library. However, Kyotaro says he never threw it away, and Yamada asks what he did with the bag, but he refused to answer. Some days later, while Kyotaro takes his stalking career to the next level, he discovers that Yamada on a television show called Columbus Gakuen Kyotaro turns on his TV that airs that day every week, so he rushes down to watch it, but realizes he's missed it, which makes him sad. The following day, on his way to school, Kyotaro tells himself he likes Yamada but thinks he's okay with things staying the same between them. Later on, during PE class, the students start running their marathons and Kyotaro realizes Yamada is catching up to him. To retain the little aura that he has, he picks up the pace while Yamada struggles to keep up. Just then, he slows down to get a better view of Yamada's chest jellos, and he tells her she has her shirt on the wrong way, so she flips it around, and the physics of bouncy castles sends signals to his wand. This makes Kyotaro run out of breath, so he slows down some more and Yamada notices Kyotaro's right eye for the first time, which makes him shy. After running, Kyotaro helps Yamada off the ground. Later on, the Virgin researches holding hands, but stops himself from viewing the results because he doesn't want his urge to get dirty with her to go wild. Later in class, Kyotaro realizes he has Yamada's marathon vest and spots his vest around her waist. This makes him think about what the others would say if they discovered Yamada had his shirt, and to make matters worse, she puts his vest on during class while their teacher calls Sho to solve a question. Knowing that Sho would surely look at Yamada's balloons where the name is written, he asks his teacher if he can solve the question on the board, and he allows it. Kyotaro then tries alerting Yamada that she's wearing his vest, but she thinks he's just being confident about getting the question. Seeing this, Sho asks Kyotaro why he's posing like All Might, while his teacher tells him he got the question wrong. Kyotaro then returns to his desk, looking like a wet dog, and he still feels worried that they may spot his shirt on her. After she manages not to get caught with his vest, Yamada asks Kyotaro to visit the nurse's office with her, and returns Kyotaro's sports outfit to him. After they chat for a while, Kyotaro wonders when she noticed they were swapped, and Yamada suggests they check their heights. However, she keeps shoving her balloons in his face, which makes him excited in his trousers, so he suggests she check her height first. After doing this, he refuses to let her check his height, and this results in the two squabbling, eventually leading to Yamada landing on the weight scale. They get into another argument, this time about Yamada's weight, but Kyotaro denies seeing. Later in class, Kyotaro overhears everyone discussing Yamada's role in an upcoming film she's shooting the next day, and Kyotaro notices that Yamada is not showing as much enthusiasm about it as the others. He wonders if she's feeling sorrowful for lower-level folks like him, since she's climbing up the social ladder and thinks she's just a nice person. Just then, the teacher enters the room and announces that they'll be switching seating positions and asks the class to pick a piece of paper from a box to know their new positions. At the end of it all, Sho sits next to Yamada, and Kyotaro is behind them but next to Hara. Although he's sad that he couldn't sit next to Yamada, he believes this will go well for him. But as the day goes by, he realizes it's not all good since Yamada is making it hard for him to copy notes on the board. Yamada then looks behind her and thinks Kyotaro's checking her out. Later on, Kyotaro ruins Sho's chances of getting close to Yamada, and he tries leaning to the left to see the board, but winds up resting his head on Hera's shoulder. Seeing he's struggling, Hera tells Kyotaro to copy her notes and moves her desk next to his. Just then, Kyotaro looks at Yamada, who gives him a nasty glance in return and says that he's being partial. After the lecture, Kyotaro notices Yamada in a sour mood and wonders why, until Yamada says he must be happy sitting next to Hara since she's nice and cute. In response, Kyotaro tells Yamada that all he sees is her, and before he can tell her, she makes it difficult to see the board. He realizes what he just said, which makes him feel shy. Later at the library, Kyotaro explains what he meant by his words and says that it's taken care of now, since he's now sitting at the front with Sho while Yamada sits with Hara behind them. Kyotaro then asks Yamada about her role in movies, and Yamada becomes excited, sharing her iconic line from the role. Hearing her say the lines to him feels like she's attacking him, since it involves creeps, and he notices a group of girls gossiping about them, so he asks Yamada if they can go to a less crowded area and the two enter a small room. Yamada then asks Kyotaro if he'll see her movie when it releases, and Kyotaro is unsure if he will. After Yamada convinces him, Kyotaro says he'll try to see it and this makes her smile, telling Kyotaro that she no longer needs to practice. Later that night, Kyotaro makes an effort to watch the show he missed the week before and spots Yamada. Kyotaro notices the host doesn't give Yamada a chance to shine, but he feels relieved she didn't get an opportunity. Kyotaro is upset that he feels this way and arrives at school the following day with plans not to bring it up to her. However, he overhears Yamada asking Kobayashi and the others to share their thoughts about the program. Kyotaro's surprised that Yamada's this enthusiastic about her lackluster role. Yamada hands Tsukini her co-star's autograph, but Tsukina realizes it's a forgery. The episode concludes with Yamada and her friends laughing about the situation. The following day, while the girls goof around, Yamada feels lonely as Kobayashi isn't around, so she decides to sit on Moeko's laps. And she decides to use Yamada's balloons as stress balls, which throws Yamada off while Kyotaro tries to calm his dragon. After Yamada says that she has restricted zones on her body, she draws a layout of herself, marking out the zones and warns that no one should touch those zones. After this, Sho decides to clean the board, but Kyotaro quickly volunteers to help him with the intention of memorizing the diagram. The next day in class, Kobayashi complains to Yamada about meeting up with school and club activities, while Yamada brags about her above-average grades and work stress, which annoys Kobayashi. Solve her problems, Kobayashi decides to meet Kyotaro for help with her math homework, and Yamada gets jealous as Kyotaro never tutored her. Kobayashi then tells Yamada that parent-teacher conferences are coming up and says that Yamada should consider studying harder, and boasts that she'll definitely score higher than her on their upcoming test. While they talk, Kobayashi recognizes Kyotaro's mathematical knowledge and says she knows he's part of the school's data processing club, telling him that Yamada told her, which makes her freak out. She also says that she's been talking about him a lot lately, and Yamada says she likes to talk about many people, while Kyotaro thinks Yamada brings him up in conversations to belittle him. Following this, Kobayashi admits Yamada can be weird at times, and gives an example involving her using ice cream to get some whipped cream off her face, which makes him giggle. This makes Kobayashi surprised as he hardly laughs or talks to girls normally. But Yamada defends him, claiming that he is actually normal. While on his way to meet his mom, Kyotaro notices Sho getting scolded by his mother, and he gets worried about his appointment with his mother and teacher. Soon after, he sees Yamada and her mother sitting next to his mother. Just then, Yamada overhears Kyotaro's mother talking about him and realizes who she is. Immediately, Yamada becomes happy and nervous to discuss things with Kyotaro's mother, and his mom tells her that Kyotaro's been telling her that he's been liking school a lot lately. While they talk, Kyotaro's mother gives Yamada a throat lozenge, and Yamada hands her a piece of candy from her pocket at the same time. After their conference, Kyotaro doesn't want anyone spotting him with his mother, so he tries increasing the pace he's walking, while his mother expresses pride in him for participating more in classes. She then says she exchanged candies with a stunning girl and unknown to them. Yamada trails behind them. His mother then asks him if she knows who he's talking about, and Kyotaro says it's Yamada, turning her face into a strawberry. As they spot her, Kyotaro almost gets a heart attack while Yamada walks past them, and is just as embarrassed as Kyotaro. The next day, Yamada tells Kyotaro about her encounter with his mother, and after asking him embarrassing questions about his mother, Kyotaro reminds Yamada about her homework, so Yamada says Kobayashi's been taking extra lessons at home, and asks Kyotaro if he could tutor her. Without a second thought, Kyotaro accepts, and the school's librarian greets them. Suddenly, Kyotaro begins to panic because he spots Yamada's lozenge on the table, and doesn't want the librarian to discover food in the library. He tries to alert her by whispering in her ear, but this ends up warming her oven, which surprises him. However, he successfully hides the sweet. After this, Yamada updates the Area 51 zones of her body. And Kyotaro realizes he did something that triggered her. Later, Kyotaro rides home in the rain and spots Yamada with an umbrella, telling her he forgot his raincoat. So Yamada places a bag on his head, and just then, Kyotaro tells Yamada that he doesn't want the bag, so she puts her belongings in his bike's basket, then sits on his bike's backseat, planning to protect him from the rain with her umbrella. However, Kyotaro says it could be dangerous for him to ride with her on his bike in the rain, and she agrees to let him ride home alone. Soon after Kyotaro reaches his home, he notices Yamada's belongings in his basket, and rushes to the station to give her stuff to her. Seeing how worried he looked, she tells him he shouldn't have panicked so much and asks if he's okay since he sneezed, but he brushes it off, telling her to get home on time to do her homework. After this, Kyotaro returns home and resumes his unauthorized private investigator lifestyle, looking through Yamada's Instagram profile. Just then, he spots a picture of her holding 2 pieces of food and wonders if she's seeing someone because of the specific items he found in Yamada's belongings before he returned them. While doing this, he suddenly falls asleep and has a weird dream where Yamada pulls a Godasala on him. Soon after Kyotaro wakes up, he learns he has a fever and decides to watch television, wondering why the fever dream he had wasn't at least heated. Just then, Kyotaro hears his doorbell and learns Yamada's waiting outside. He rushes out to speak with her and she hands him some food they received at school today, apologizing for stopping him in the rain the day before. However, Kyotaro tells her not to worry about it. And before Yamada leaves, Kyotaro asks her to come inside for some tea. When she walks in the house, Yamada asks if anyone's home since it's so quiet, and Kyotaro says his mother works part-time. While Kyotaro prepares tea for Yamada, he notices he's not wearing proper clothing, so he excuses himself to his room but faints before he can put something on. After a while, Yamada notices the tea's finished but worries about Kyotaro's health, so she heads to his room, only to find him lying on the ground. Immediately, Yamada helps him into his bed and dresses him up in warm clothes. Meanwhile, Kyotaro wonders if he's dreaming, and decides to use her natural pillows to support his head, which gives her the green light to bury him in them. Later at night, Kyotaro wakes up and sees his sister looming over him. His sister shows him the cream Yamada gave him before Kyotaro invited her inside, and she hands Kyotaro Yamada's note, which tells him to get well soon. Some days later, Kyotaro overcomes his fever, and his mother tells him she spotted Yamada the day before and she asked after him, which makes him happy. While he heads to school, Kyotaro bumps into Yamada and learns she's having throat issues. However, she's more concerned about him, asking if he's feeling better and remembers anything from yesterday. Before he can respond, Kobayashi bumps into them and learns of Yamada's cold, while Yamada stares at Kyotaro as he walks away. Some days later, while in the library, Yamada asks Kyotaro if he uses line to text, and while they discuss, Yamada asks Kyotaro if the data processing club has a line group chat, but Kyotaro doesn't know nor plan to ask his club if he can join it, irritating Yamada. Later in class, Sakina informs her friends that she would love to get a boyfriend before Christmas, and says she plans to lend her line ID to all the boys in class. Yamada then thinks her plan's brilliant and proceeds to chat with Kyotaro. However, Sakina interferes in their conversation and asks Kyotaro for his line ID. They exchange IDs, angering Yamada, and Sakina says she should exchange IDs with a higher-ranked guy, bringing up the track team's ace. Hearing this, Yamada tells the others they live in the same apartment complex, and Sakina pressures her more to get his line ID, even though Kobayashi knows Sakina wants it for herself. Although Kyotaro doesn't want to stop Yamada from getting Ishimura's ID, he can't help but feel jealous, and after recalling their conversation in the library, Aro freaks out in class as he realizes Yamada was trying to get his line ID. This convinces Yamada not to exchange her line with the dude. Meanwhile, Sho approaches Kyotaro and mocks him for having his sister as a line contact. After school, Kyotaro continues reading the manga Yamada lent to him, and he questions if Yamada was trying to lend him her line ID in the library that day and wonders if he has a legit shot with Yamada but doesn't want to give himself hope. The following day, Kyotaro spots Yamada chatting with Haruya in school and sees he's making moves on Yamada by convincing Kobayashi to come to his place to play a new video game. He then says that Yamada's welcome to stop by if she wants, and afterward Yamada tells Kobayashi she's not going to Haruya's place. Hearing this, Kobayashi says she'll visit his place with Sakina instead, and Yamada tells her she should reconsider going but doesn't explain why. Meanwhile, Kyotaro knows it's because Yamada doesn't want to tell Kobayashi that Haruya invited her as bait to get Yamada to go, and Yamada says she doesn't trust Haruya, but Kobayashi insists on going, which upsets her. Later on, Kyotaro spots Yamada crying in the library and immediately she sees him. Her mood switches up. While they talk, she asks Kyotaro if he plays video games and he says he likes playing his Switch. Yamada then tells him how much of a gamer her father is, and they get interrupted when the girl who hung out with Haruya arrives in the library with her friend. Immediately, Kyotaro leaves the table for a minute, and the girl apologizes for Haruya's behavior. The girls butter Yamada up, saying she probably has a boyfriend, but Yamada looks at Kyotaro and repeatedly tells the girls she doesn't have one. Suddenly, she turns to Kyotaro and promises she doesn't. This makes them figure that she has a thing for Kyotaro, and they quickly leave the library. Meanwhile, Kyotaro is confused about everything, but tells Yamada she shouldn't hang around him when others are present. Yamada suddenly gets closer to Kyutaro when she notices Haruya and the girl walk into the library. When Haruya sees Yamada sticking to Kyutaro like super glue, he angrily leaves the library and Yamada apologizes to Kyutaro, who is baffled by what happened. After this, Kyotaro walks through the halls and overhears Sakina telling Kobayashi the harsh truth about Haruya's willingness to invite her to his home. Kobayashi then plays it off like she knew that was his intention, while Kyotaro spies on them all. After class, Kobayashi approaches Yamada, telling her she's not going to Haruya's place, which makes Yamada happy, and the two venture out somewhere. Meanwhile, Kyotaro spots Haruya but doesn't engage with him, and he wonders if Haruya thinks he and Yamada are dating. He also wonders if Yamada used him as bait to lure Haruya, and he feels Yamada has been using him this whole time to get closer to her. The following day in class, while Kyotaro reads his murder book, Yamada walks past him and he decides to ignore her. She also notes that he doesn't visit the library anymore, nor does he care. After he continues to avoid her, Yamada then approaches Kyotaro in the school hallway and asks him if he's mad at her for being too close to him. However, Kyotaro says he's got places to be, but hears Yamada crying and he realizes Yamada isn't the type of person to use people, questioning if his mind just wanted to give him an excuse to hate her. Kyotaro then tells Yamada he isn't mad at her, and the two hug it out before heading home together. They talk for a while, and before Kyotaro goes on a separate path, Yamada stops him because she wants to chat with him more. After discussing Kyotaro's planned trip, he returns Yamada's manga to her and shares his favorite moment, so she plans to bring him the next book on Monday. However, Monday arrives, but Yamada forgets her book and promises she would bring the next volume tomorrow, but Kyotaro reminds her that winter break starts tomorrow. So she suggests they plan to meet up during the break, and Yamada finally exchanges line IDs with Kyotaro. Some days later, as Kyotaro waits for Yamada to arrive in Hachiko to receive the next manga volume from her, he notices Yamada standing around and approaches her. Just then, Yamada asks Kyotaro to follow her to a place in the city, and as they walk, Kyotaro removes his hood with his mask to avoid looking creepy, while Yamada tells Kyotaro to hold onto her bag so they won't get lost. After a while, they arrive at an eatery because Yamada wants to eat the place's pancakes. And while in line, Yamada discusses some dating myths with Kyotaro about amusement parks and waiting in line. As they chat, Kyotaro asks Yamada about how she did her hair, and she says her mother did it for her, claiming that her mother is only strict when they are out in public. She goes further to say that her mother is kind at home and likes calling her Chan, which Kyotaro finds cute. At their table, Kyotaro notices how expensive everything is and orders cheap meals. When the waitress leaves, Yamada notices Kyotaro loves wearing dark clothes, and she admits she likes wearing dark clothing too, which Kyotaro says must look great on her, because she'd probably make it look stylish and cool. Later on, Kyotaro contemplates his day with Yamada so far, while she explains how her stylist has the same sentiments. Just then, Ro starts regretting meeting Yamada outside of school and he feels he can't connect with her on a personal level. Shortly after, the waitress returns with their food, and Yamada asks Kyotaro to take a photo of her eating her meal for her socials. Hearing this, Kyotaro says it would be best to shoot a video, and Yamada agrees. Kyotaro then tells Yamada it might be a bad idea to upload those videos, and she says she's not uploading them because she wants to send them all to him. After this, Yamada and Kyotaro visit a clothing shop, and he says she looks fine in the outfit while feeling bad that he made Yamada pay for their meal. Yamada then finds two dresses and asks Kyotaro which one he finds cuter. In response, he points toward the pink one and Yamada changes into it in one of the booths. When she's finished dressing up, she exits the booth only to spot Kyotaro attempting to leave because of his thoughts regarding Yamada changing clothes. Seeing this, she tells Kyotaro to wait near the booth, and while waiting, he notices his sister and her friends entering the store. When Yamada finishes putting on the other dress, Kyotaro tells her to keep her voice down because his sister's here. However, Yamada wants to introduce herself, but Kyotaro refuses to let his sister know he's with Yamada. Just then, Kyotaro's sister grabs some shorts and heads for a booth. Meanwhile, Yamada grabs Kyotaro and pulls him into the booth. Kyotaro then apologizes to Yamada for this, but she says it's okay and he says Yamada can meet his sister another time. He also tells her the red dress looks great on her, so Yamada plans to buy it. After which, the two leave the store. Later on, Yamada apologizes to Kyotaro for dragging him out to different places, and he notices she might be worried, so he opens up about some aspects of his life to ease her mind. He then tells her he's not a people person and isn't afraid to turn down invitations. However, he said he had fun today, and Yamada wraps her scarf around Kyotaro, telling him she knew he had a blast today. The two stare at some gorgeous lights in the city and visit the train station afterward. While there, Kyotaro asks Yamada for the bag with the manga and grabs it. While on the train, they get into a tight predicament, causing them to split up. Just then, Kyotaro grabs Yamada's hand unknowingly and they continue to walk home. Shortly after, Kyotaro feels he doesn't know when to stop holding hands with Yamada, and he worries she might realize how he feels about her. While Yamada and Kyotaro reach his home and stop holding hands before he heads inside, Yamada tells Kyotaro not to tell her Happy New Year yet, because they have got some days left in December. While Yamada cheerfully plays the role of Santa Claus during the holiday festivities, Kyotaro can't help but watch her from a distance. With a bunch of emotions building quietly within him, her bright smile only deepens his internal conflict, making him wonder if she knows how he feels about her. As he retreats to the solitude of his room later that night, Kyotaro tries to distract himself by diving into the next volume of Kimi Iro Okta, but the words on the page seem to blur as his mind drifts elsewhere. Lying on his bed, manga still open in his hands, Aro begins to imagine a conversation with an idealized version of himself, a doppelganger shaped by both his own image and that of the romantic protagonist in Kimi Iro Okta. This imagined figure leans casually against the wall and asks the question Kyotaro has been too afraid to say out loud, questioning if he really has a chance with her, even though he thinks he has a chance since they held hands. Doubt quickly creeps in as he thinks Yamada's always kind to everyone. As the night deepens and the house grows quieter, Aro continues to wrestle with uncertainty and replays their conversations in his mind, searching for signs that might hint at something more, but the answers remain just out of reach. Some days later, Kyotaro is at a restaurant with Sakina, Haruya, alongside another baddie, and Haruya asks him what Yamada has been up to, while his arm looks injured. Just then, Kyotaro thinks back to when he and his family went on their annual trip to their hometown. After their granny welcomes them, they head to the rooms, and Kyotaro is upset that he's stuck sharing a room with his sister. While they set up their stuff, he remembers that he promised to send a photo of the snowy scenery to Yamada, so he takes one through the window but isn't satisfied with it. This makes him head outside for a better photo, and after wandering in the snowy wilderness, he finally stops by a cliff and tries getting a perfect shot, but ends up like Jack from the Jack and Jill poem, falling down the cliff. Later that evening, his sister finds him in the snow, and when he tries to get up, he notices he's broken his arm. After returning from the hospital and having dinner with his family, Kyotaro decides to send Yamada a photo of him with his broken arm. Later at night, Yamada video calls Kyotaro, and the first thing he sees are her huge chest eyes, making him frustrated since he can't self-care to them. Yamada then asks him about his arm, but he promises it doesn't hurt and says he will head home tomorrow. While they talk, Kyotaro sees his sister spying on him, which shocks him, and he mistakenly ends the call while attempting to cover up his screen. Seeing this, she immediately pesters him about who Yamada is, and he manages to convince her that she's simply a friend from school, hoping she doesn't tease him for it. Surprisingly, his sister doesn't mock him and returns to sleep. Following this, he notices Yamada sent him a message asking him about the situation with his sister and why he stopped the call. In response, he says that he told his sister that they're friends for now, and this makes Yamada happy. Yamada then asks Kyotaro if she can call him again, making him nervous, so he heads into the hallway to continue his conversation with her. And while they talk, she asks him to perform some tasks that seem to correlate with themes in the manga she's reading. Afterward, they send each other goodnight texts and end the talk for the night. The following day, Kyotaro and his family return to Tokyo but stop by an antique shop to get some stuff, and his sister suggests they get matching dog keychains. Although he rejects the idea at first, he thinks it'll be a good gift for Yamada and ends up getting it. On their car ride, his sister asked him questions about Yamada, and he realizes how relatable he is to his sister regarding their thinking patterns of giving up on stuff that may hurt them. Even if his sister may think Yamada is out of Kyotaro's league, he can't get her out of his mind, and while they talk, he tells her Yamada was the girl that left a note for him the time he fell sick, which convinces his sister he may have a shot with Yamada. Just then, his sister starts teasing him about his potential interest in Yamada and tells him to introduce Yamada to her sometime. When they return home, Kyotaro leaves to give Yamada her manga and scarf back, alongside the keychain he bought for her, but then bumps into her while she's walking her dog to his house, and she explains that she decided to meet him at his house since his injury would prevent him from riding his bike to the spot they planned to meet. After this, they visit a park, and while Yamada shows off the tricks she taught the dog, Kyotaro worries that he bought her a bad gift. Soon after, Yamada asks him to give her dog some commands, but it doesn't obey his orders, and this results in Yamada performing the actions instead. She takes Michael Jackson's lyrics to heart, becoming a smooth criminal as she holds his hand while carrying out his orders and sits beside him. While they talk, she grabs her scarf from Kyotaro's bag since he wants to return it, but she admits she wants him to keep it. So Kyotaro gives her the keychain in exchange for the scarf, and this makes Yamada happier than a person on laughing gas. On the walk back home, Yamada asks Kyotaro if he wants to visit a temple with her on New Year's Eve, and he agrees to go with her, so Yamada plans to text him the details later. Several days later, Kyotaro realizes he's been texting Yamada every day, and when he visits the nearby supermarket, he runs into Haruya, making him freak out. They then force him to hang with them, and Haruya attempts to use Kyotaro to get closer to Yamada, asking if Kyotaro has her line contact, but he says he doesn't. Suddenly, Yamada's name pops up on his phone, and Haruya realizes he is lying about not having her line. Just then, Haruya creates a situation for them to be alone, and sits in front of Kyotaro, demanding Yamada's line from him. However, Kyotaro refuses to hand it over and says he doesn't feel like giving it to him. When Haruya asks why he's gatekeeping Yamada's contact, seeing the tension build up, Sakine steps in and asks Kyotaro to walk her home. Although Haruya says he can walk Sakine home, Sakina says she trusts Kyotaro and says they're friends, which surprises Kyotaro. While walking home together, Sakina advises Kyotaro to be more honest with Haruya about Yamada, but he says he doesn't want him to get the wrong idea about them and finally grows the balls to say out loud that he likes Yamada. However, Sakina says that it's obvious to everyone around, and while she heads into her apartment, he thanks her for standing up for him, but she ruins the moment by teasing him, making him hurry away from her. Just then, he decides to call Yamada since he misses her, and she admits that she's surprised he called. He says he just wants to wish her a happy new year, and quickly ends the call when he hears Sakina on the line. Next morning, Aro visits the New Year temple event with his family, and he plans to make up an excuse for his family to leave somewhere so he can meet up with Yamada. In an hour, unfortunately, his mother spots Yamada waiting for him, surprising him, and his sister tells him to say hi to Yamada, but he knows she wants to stand by to watch. Just then, Yamada spots Kyotaro with his family and introduces herself to them. Following this, they head for a temple to make their wishes, and Yamada notices that Kyotaro can't take a prayer posture since his arms are broken, so she gets behind him to help him out, which alerts the dragon in his pants. They head over to Kyotaro's family. Yamada asks Kyotaro about his wish, and although he didn't get a chance to make a wish, he says he wished for things to stay the same, which makes Yamada pout. Afterward, Yamada bids everyone farewell while Kyotaro plots to meet up with her again soon, and his sister praises him for his maturity in the situation. Before they head to another location, his sister grabs Kyotaro and rushes to catch up with Yamada so she can make a better first impression. Soon after, they find her stuffing her face with meatballs, and his sister asks her if she'd like to visit their home, which she immediately accepts. As they walk to their place, Kyotaro's sister realizes Yamada may have bought food for Kyotaro, and thinks he has a solid chance with her. At Kyotaro's home, Aro panics as he notices she has his keychain on, as it's the same as his sister's keychain, and he gets worried that his sister will see it, so he tries grabbing the keychain from Yamada's waist, and his sister thinks Kyotaro is putting the moves on Yamada, which makes him panic. Following this, Kana asks him what she should call Yamada, and Yamada plays along with it to embarrass Kyotaro, but he tells Kana to back off. Just then, Kana shares her yearbook with Yamada, and proceeds to whip out Kyotaro's yearbook. While showing her his old photos, she makes fun of his bland expressions, and Yamada asks if she has photos of Kyotaro at the school outdoor excursion event, but Kana reveals that he didn't go. This creates a tense atmosphere, and suddenly Kana tells them she has to go meet up with friends, but asks Yamada to stay with Kyotaro since they have leftover soup. While she heads out, Kyotaro overhears her conversation with Yamada, as she thanks Yamada for being close friends with Kyotaro, and Yamada asks her if she can call her sister, surprising Kana. After this, Kyotaro plans to put away the albums while Yamada is busy with the dishes, but Yamada follows him to his room, rambling on about how cute and friendly Kana is. Just then, she grabs the album from his hands and asks him about two boys Kyotaro hung out with during his younger years. Kyotaro then explains that they were his former cram school buddies, and that they went to private schools, so he hasn't spoken to them in a while. Seeing he's getting sad, Yamada asks about his trophies and spots his bizarre crime files murders book, so he explains what it is to her, expecting her to freak out, but she surprisingly gets very excited, and asks Kyotaro if he can read her mind. But Kyotaro says he knows she's not a murderer. While she toys with Kyotaro, she spots a magazine under his sheets, and before she can grab it, Kyotaro stops her, mounting her like she's a sports bike. This makes them shy, with Kyotaro thinking he's messed up his chance with her, and after Yamada pushes him off, she takes some photos of his yearbook before leaving his room. While she heads out, she promises Kyotaro to show him her yearbook, and he realizes that it's her way of inviting him over, but shoves it off. Then, Kyotaro remembers when his application wasn't accepted to the private school his buddies were going to, and how they told him to hang out with them from time to time. He also remembers a time when some of his new classmates spotted him reading his favorite murder book, and how they felt creeped out. Soon after, he wakes up from the dream and chats with his inner self about his fears of getting abandoned because of what he likes, then meets his family outside. Just as his mother drops him off at school, Yamada pops up to meet him, and Kana asks Yamada to look after Kyotaro since this is his first day back after being hurt. As they walk to class, Yamada asks Kyotaro where his keychain is, and as he shows it to her, she helps him strap it onto his shirt. While she does this, he reflects on his past interactions with Yamada, and opens up to her, revealing that he never liked going to school as the thought of being around people felt exhausting. He, however, says that things are now different thanks to her, but she says he should appreciate himself for having the courage to be different instead. Just then, his books fall to the ground, and he thinks about how he used them as armor to protect himself. While she picks them up, as she hands them to him, she notices the gloomy look on his face and suddenly hugs him, which surprises him. However, he leans into the hug, and they have a moment together. Soon after, they rush to class as they realize they're running late and soon bump into Sakine in the hallway, who teases them for acting weird. While she leaves them, Yamada hands him an empty shrimp snack bag as a joke. However, she gives him a spare shrimp candy. Comment down below, hook up library if you finish the video. Subscribe so you don't miss the next video.